Welcome back to the channel, guys. This is going to be a different approach. My name is Dirk. This is my YouTube channel for those of you who have not been here before. I'm going to start a whole new playlist about something I'm pretty passionate about, and that's landscaping business and entrepreneurship and starting your own business. And I'm going to talk about my experience and some of the things I've done to make that happen. Sorry if the camera is shaky. I am driving in the truck. I got the camera just down beside me in the passenger seat. So I have a little side business, a little side landscaping business or gardening business or lawn care business, whichever one you want to call it. They're all in the same category, and they all intertwine with each other. And I started working for a landscaping company when I was 16, a landscaping and lawn care company. And I pretty much have been doing that ever since. And when my oldest daughter was born, I went and got a union job, a nice paying job in the evening, and I started a landscaping business in the day. I'm more into just the gardening and garden bed maintenance and yard maintenance, and I don't do too many mows, and I don't do too much hardscape, just like minor landscape stuff. I started, like I said, 16 to now, 32. It's pretty much, I took a year off for COVID, and maybe a year or so off when I was younger, but about that is, other than that, I've done it all, from mowing to laying pavings to building and installing ponds to ripping out and reinstalling property landscapes. You name it, I've done it. Sprinkler work, gutter cleaning, anything that comes to be with the landscaping business I've done. So I have some insight on it, and I thought I would just share, start that on a new playlist, you know. So, and I'll just so let's just talk about how I got started on my own. You know, first off, like, if you're gonna do a landscaping business, I recommend you get some experience under your belt with the actual labor and process of doing it. You know, go work for someone part-time, or, you know, just get your hands into it a little bit. And I recommend that if you're starting any business. If you want to start a cafe, you know what you do? You go see how a cafe is run. You go get some experience in it before you start opening your own cafe, and you know the ins and outs of it. So yeah, I had that experience in advance, and then, but I never, you know, I never took it seriously, and I never really saved any money, and I never really saw the opportunity of owning my own. I was always just in an employee mindset. I was always an employee and never an employer or an owner-operator, which is probably what I should have started thinking about when I was younger, but I never did. And so I didn't even get started till I was in my 30s. My daughter was was already born, actually. I think she was about 6 months old, maybe a little bit older, and I was married. It took all that for me to realize, you know, something that I could have just done this a long time ago. I'm a bit ahead of the game. If you've got your hands in it, and you're at that point where you've worked for a company and you're doing it all, because I was doing a lot. I was going out with the truck and trailer, any other employees, you know, and I was driving to the job sites, doing the work, and sometimes I would even take the truck and trailer home and just go off and on my own the next day. And so but I never was like, I could do this for myself, even though I was doing all the work. I never thought that. So I recommend that if you're in that scenario, you should just think about starting to do it for yourself. Now, the tricky part is if you don't save any money and you don't have any income and you've got all these crazy bills you still have to pay, the transition is pretty tough. For me, I ended up getting a different job that worked evenings, and then what I did to get my first set of tools and such is I went out and I started with hedge trimming. And I found a big hedge job that would pay me more than enough to go out and buy the hedge trimmer that I needed to do the job and a few other tools. So, you know, I think the job I did was $1,200. I didn't have any tools. I didn't have nothing. The job was $1,200. I quoted the job, you know, and I knew at that point that I was gonna make that money. I asked for 50% down, which was enough to go out and buy the trimmer. They agreed, so I got the 50%, $600, went out, bought the trimmer. So I went out and I just did the job with the hedge trimmer, and then I got another $600 at the end of the job. Hedge trimming is where I started. If you can quote a job that's big enough to cover the cost of your tools, or 50% of it's big enough to cover a big chunk of the tools that you need, then you know, you can go and quote it, ask for 50% down as a deposit on booking them in. You know, if it's a good job, they understand why they need to. This guy is driving over the middle of the line. Anyways, they'll understand why you're charging that amount. So that's what I did. I went out, I didn't have any, I had a ladder. I didn't have any hedge trimmers or nothing. I think I had like a garden rake, you know, maybe some shovels and hand tools. But, you know, I used tarps. I put tarps on the ground and I trimmed the heads, and the trimmings fell on the tarp. I think, I'm trying to remember, the other $600 went to my trailer. I bought a trailer for $600. I didn't even have a truck. I went and bought the trailer. It sat in my driveway because it was fall at this point, all fall and winter. I didn't even use it. I couldn't even pull it with my car, but I knew for me the trailer would be invaluable. And now that's the same trailer I still use today. I later on ended up getting on my car. I had like a compact SUV, a Chevy Trax, little 4-cylinder that I was making payments on, and I got a hitch and it all hooked up with lights and whatever, the wiring for the trailer. Had that all professionally installed. That cost another $500, and I had to make that money doing a job. I think I did a cleanup job, and with cleanups you just need like a rakes, you know, a leaf blower, and you could even get away without using a leaf blower, but leaf blowers are handy. Rakes, a tarp, some garbage cans. You know, if you're just doing it in your car, you just grab a couple garbage cans and go out and do some weeding or whatever, or do a little tiny cleanup. Anyways, yeah, there's lots of different areas to start, but for me, I went out and did a hedge, and I quoted big on a big hedge. I looked specifically for one that was fairly big and that was going to cover me the cost of the tool if I asked for 50% down, and it did. And the tool I got was the Stihl Combi system, so I could put interchangeable heads on it. And then I bought the head, and I think I had to put out a little bit of my own money, but most of it came from the deposit. So that's kind of how I got started with my own little business, and now I'm getting calls right now and doing jobs. I went and did a power washing job today. I've been power washing all last week, doing like a soft wash on a house, and you know, when you start a business, you're going to start off with one thing and move into a whole bunch of different little areas. I've done everything, like I said, from gutter cleaning to ponds and waterfalls to sealing driveways to house washing. You know, the only thing I haven't really dabbled in, like I said, is Christmas lights. And you know what? I haven't really done any window cleaning, but I have looked into it quite a bit. Anyways, that's my little insight on starting your own business. I hope that this is kind of, you know, how I did it, and I hope that anybody who's feeling like they're working for someone and they're ready to go on their own, don't waste your time. Don't miss the opportunities. I've had trucks. I've had big trucks in the past. You know, I went out, bought, you know, Ford F-150s and everything, and Chevys, and then I would sell them. And just having a truck is an opportunity to go do some work and make some money. If you have a truck, you can do some dump runs. You know, when I did some dump runs, and I did $75 for a truck bed full and $75 for a trailer full, you know, and you combine those together if it's a truck and trailer. So if you have a truck and you're looking to get money, just throw some ads up on Facebook or whatever, and you know, do dump runs. You know, no tools really required. Just throw the stuff in your truck and then take it to the dump. Anyways, jibber jabber. Let's put an end to this. I've got some more content coming up on specifically on getting started and how what I went through and the struggles, because it was hard. There were some hard moments, man, and even still I find myself getting some anxieties about what's what and how to quote jobs and what's the best way. You know, I can second guess myself all the time, and I feel like talking and sharing about that sort of stuff coming up in the future here. Anyways, thanks for joining me. See you later.